Good morning. Growing up in the wilds of suburbia peeps. Well, alright. Likely not going to be able to make as long of a video today, but that's alright. But starting off the week, starting off actually in a really good place. So, today's conversation's on sacred promises, right? And I don't mean like a sacred promise you make that goes throughout life necessarily, although these should. Are ripples into the same pond of my future, right, and future goals, and share a little practice that I have now that I've set my day up this way. Is, as some of you who have been watching this series recently know, that I'm putting out who I am, what I'm going through, a very transparent level and completely authentic. So if I start, if I cried on the video or whatever, it's just because I'm being true to myself as I go through those conversations. So, very, very impactful breakup somewhat recently, just over a month ago, dealing with the ghosts of that daily, and most of the day for a while. I, again, through the video, Truth to Integrity, there's definitely differences. If you're not familiar with that one, please go back and watch that video. You'll see what I'm talking about when it comes to truth. You can have truth but not have integrity. And that was a major lesson that I had with my previous relationship. My last partner, ex-girlfriend, she did everything right. She was just perfect. Our communication, which is on me because of my, my insights, my awareness, the way that I am as a person, that's all that's on me for being that level of a communicator. So, not to go down that story any further, you can see it through multiple previous videos. I talk about the Phoenix, I talk about Pandora's box. If you don't know what I'm talking about, those are great episodes to get into. Today is about sacred promises, and why I'm prefacing sacred promises with this is that when we go through something that is at your core, that the phoenix burning, if you will, the core of who you are, whenever there's an awakening to what you thought was going on, right, what you thought was real, it makes you go into introspection. At least it made me go into introspection. And I would say that the average, healthy, well-adjusted, mentally well-adjusted human being will do that. They go into introspection so that they can find out, how to, one, see where they may have made errors, or, how they can just develop themselves to get better so that either amend that relationship or not have those kind of faults show up in the next one if possible. We're incredibly dynamic. I don't want to go down that road at the moment, but I'm bringing that up because it's so easy to disempower ourselves and to lose, be a ship lost adrift at sea with no wind in the sails and no rudder to steer. Even if you had wind, you just feel like you're adrift. You can start off with sacred promises, and those sacred promises are intended to be on a daily basis, but if you can manage it into multiple days or a permanency, then you're going to be all the better. For me, I'm making these promises to myself. So today is to be the witness of disempowering statements or conversations. And I don't mean like most people will recognize like a disempowering thing where they tell themselves that they've got problems or something like that. I mean, even contextually, the thinking around one without the declaration of it. That's what I'm promising myself today, is to be aware and to put those conversations in check. Not necessarily to say that they're eradicated, because I may still have lessons inside of that I'm unaware of. So that's what I'm working on. That's my promise to myself today, specifically. Yesterday was to be strong. The day before that was that promise that I not to tangle up with the ghosts of the past. So in yesterday's video was judo and ghosts. Oh, my titles are goofy, but you can use whatever fighting style you want against ghosts. It's not, the previous video is not about actually, destroying ghosts or anything. It's just keeping them in a place where it doesn't, destroy you in the process or tear you down further. Not everybody has the mental and emotional fortitude to be able to do what I've just done through this last breakup, or what I am doing through the process. And it's not a brag. I just keep doing the work regularly, and it by no means was easy at all. But it's like a hell of a strong workout, like one of those workouts that just you are progressing to another level. That's the work that I like to do, and it's in the emotional and psychological terrain that most people shy away from. I refuse to. I take full ownership. If I were to speak with my ex now, there's not a thing I would blame her for. I hadn't started blaming her for anything anyway. The only thing that is that it was a statement about our declaration and the communication we had. That's it. But it's not blaming her. It's just putting her back in that conversation so she can say, you know what, we both misinterpreted something. Like that is a fair position, but in no way would I blame her for anything. But I don't do that to anyone, really. I may say that I don't blame somebody else without taking on significantly more responsibility. And I really just don't like blaming other people. That's like taking my responsibility that is over here on my table that's going to be developing me and giving it away to somebody else to throw away. Because how many people are going to use the responsibility you give them in order to build their life up so that they have what they want? It's really not taking your responsibility, doesn't do that for them anyway. But the majority of people are not going to take the responsibility for themselves and their part of how things may not have worked out to the way that we wanted them to. Not on her by any means. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in general, people. So, I have come to a very clear space in the last 2 days. I had such an amazing day yesterday. And it is like the burden of a tropical depression, storm system that just sat over me for some time. That instead of cursing the rain, I did things in the house to help me clean up my room, if you will, and rebuild and reorganize and restructure. Just speaking, in a way just to say, you know what, it's raining outside, what else do you do? I don't curse the skies. I try to take other opportunities to develop somewhere. And I encourage other people to look for opportunities everywhere that they have them to develop. So I've had some cathartic releases recently. I went out with some friends on Saturday night, had a great time, continuing to occupy my promise for Saturday, which was not to entangle myself with ghosts of the past. And I managed that, went out with a couple, husband and wife, which is usually not the most comfortable thing after a, pretty solid breakup. But I've still put myself in that environment so that I could, continue to say, hey, you know what, you still got a pulse, you're still alive. Go enjoy yourself. So, process. This is in no way a therapeutic thing for me by any means. Again, if you're familiar with this channel, you know that all I'm doing is trying to give some insight that may help other people or even yourself view what you're going through in life a little bit differently and see possibility to work through it instead of feeling like you're in a corner and you have no options. So that's the whole purpose of this. Growing up in the wilds of suburbia's entire purpose is to help give guidance where nearly all of us have had no guidance, because we're so dynamic and so complex as a creature, as a species, that there's plenty of places that we expect other people to be mature because we ourselves are mature in that area, and we expect them to be, and then we hold it against them when they're not. And the reality is, they very well could have just stopped developing at a certain age simply because they came across something that was too painful, and that's it. They froze their maturity right there. So if you feel like you're arguing with a 13-year-old and the person's in their 30s or whatever age, they're above 13, there's a good chance that they stopped developing in that area because of the payoff, either be avoidance or the reward of attention or whatever stopped them there. I look at that just the same as if I were watching a child playing with, an egg on the floor and they break the egg. I'm not upset that they broke the egg. I'm more of in awe that they're doing a scientific experiment. They're learning while they're playing with that egg. No, even though it doesn't look like that way to most people, or to some people, it does to me, because I recognize they're learning motor function and cause action to consequence, those kind of things. Same thing in those other relationships where people are behaving in a different way. I was going to do today's video on advice from others, because you want to be careful when you take advice from other people, because you never know. It's likely just they're giving you a pilot program or a pilot idea. They never tried it themselves, but they're tinkering and to try to find out how effective it is by having you be their guinea pig. Or they're so miserable they'll try to purposely sabotage your relationship or your situation so that their skill sets of dealing with misery gives them value and makes them feel like they're a part of something and that they can actually lead and have higher validation. But that's for another video. Sacred promises, make yourself one today. The more vivid, the more detail you can give it, the more specific that you can be about your sacred promise, the better for you, because you can keep yourself in check. You can constantly catch yourself falling off of that conversation where you're like, yeah, you know what, like for me today, not to have any disempowering context to my conversations around myself, and to help continue to build this up. So that's mine today. Tomorrow will be another one, but I'll continue on with what I've had for the last 3 and continue this. Like I said, it's a newer practice. I have made myself promises, but I haven't qualified them the way that I'm doing it now. And I hope that that helps you, helps people in your life. Share this video with the people that you think may help them, and also comment in the comment section about it. This is all the why I do it. I'm not trying to, it's not delusions of grandeur. I'm not trying to be famous. Nothing like that. My goal is to help, give insight, give opportunities, be an opportunity for other people. So, all right, that's it for today. This is your host, Sir Chad Everett Brochures, and this is Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. Now, remember, life is a roller coaster. You're going to have your ups and downs. The key is to keep going. The key is to just keep trying. Keep working on yourself. It's not always easy. It's often hard. It's going to be a little rough. Stick with me. We'll get through it. All right. See you guys in the next one.